Hi guys, so today I'm having video interview with one of my clients. His name is David. He is 52 years old. He's just done his first powerlifting competition ever. It was the West Yorkshire Novice Powerlifting, and we have very interesting information to share. The purpose of this video is hopefully to help people in their 40s, mid 40s, 50s, whatever age, just to show that it's always possible and all you need to do is just start. So, David was just regular guy who never did any sport in his entire life, and he started at the age of 50 and he competed as a power lifter at the age of 52. So he went from a normal guy to this.
Got some loaders ready. Bar is loaded for David. Come on, David. First one out of this flight this afternoon. It's our novice competition, obviously. Lots of nice everyone today. Very controlled there, David. Let's have a look. 3 white lights is on the board. That's the main thing. Matthew follows up. 75 kilos to squats and loaders, please. Let's have a look. 3 white lights. 3 for 3. Well done, David. Matthew.
Okay, David, so would you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Okay, so I am 52 years old, married. I've got 5 kids. Currently out of work, but I used to work for an airline, and most of my time was spent either running around an airport or sitting behind a desk, working unusual hours. So I used to have a lot of disrupted sleep, poor diet. I used to drink too much. And as I discovered, I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was.
Right. So would you say was that a desk job or was still active but
Mainly desk. I mean, you're talking sort of 90% sat behind a desk and sort of 10% maybe out in the hangar or in the terminal or whatever. But yeah, I spent years slouching behind a desk basically with terrible. In fact, my posture used to be a bit of a joke in the office.
Right.
That's how bad I was.
Okay. So we're gonna go through the questions we got from the blog.
Yep.
And post the competition especially. So there's a lot of repeated questions. The first one that I got a lot, which is how old are you? I think you answered.
Yeah,
that already.
52.
52. And surprisingly, how long you been lifting?
Oh, how long I've been lifting? So actually not very long. So I started training with Mo in April last year, but I was so unfit that it wasn't really until January of this year that I started lifting. And actually, I think we just had a couple of sessions where I tried it and thought, actually, really surprised myself, I actually enjoy this. So, yeah, properly starting to lift only since, January 2023, so literally just a few months.
Yeah. So, what happened, in the first time ever you got to the gym to train?
You really want me to tell that story?
Yeah, we'll tell you exactly what happened. This was day 1, and we were just doing a little bit of fitness tests, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to David to explain.
Okay, so a little bit of background is I have asthma, I have high blood pressure, and I've also got this horrible disease called diverticular disease, which has put me in hospital before now. And I booked a first training session, bouncing into the gym, thinking that I was a lot fitter than I actually was. And after about 20 minutes, my asthma kicked off, my diverticular disease kicked off, which gives you loads of sort of cramps down here, which are not particularly pleasant. And I was so bad, we had to stop the session. A member of the gym staff had to help me to the toilet, which was really embarrassing. And I was so ill that my wife had to come and pick me up from the gym. I don't think you could have a worse session if you tried. So my wife came and picked me up, and I went I went home, and I spent the rest of the day in bed. And actually, in some respects, I'm really glad that happened, because it was while I was lying in bed that I just realised I can't be like this. This is just crazy. I just can't be this unfit. And I think it actually really spurred me on. And I think I left it 2 weeks, and then I booked another session with you. And at that point, I was just determined. Right, that is it. I've got to get fit.
I must say, I didn't think he will ever come back again. So just to be honest, but that's interesting. So did that make you think, I should do it, or it made you think that's not for me? I'm
no.
52. I'm not going to do it.
It just really made me realise is that if I'm, how old was I then? So I was 50 at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So I was still 50, and I thought, geez, if this is what I'm like at 50, what am I going to be like at 60, at 70? I'm not going to get to 70 at this rate. So I've got to do something now. And I think what I've been really amazed at is, I think you get to 50, it's too late, or it's not for me, or I'll never get fit. Is if I can go from pretty much collapsing at my first session to competing in 16 months? If I can do it.
It's 16 months, but you're not actually been preparing for the competition for 16 months. It was
since January. Yeah.
So it's not that long. And bear in mind, this is from somebody who never done any of that in their life. So the point is, it's very possible. If you think it's too late, I can assure you it's not, if you're willing to do the work. So, what other questions? So, this actually, I'll leave this question for you, because the question is, what advice do you give for someone who is in his mid-40s and think that it's too late to start? Right? Now, if I answer this question, I'm gonna tell you there's no excuses and all this, but I'll leave it to David, because you think it's too late, you're in your mid-40, but there you go.
I would say start now, don't leave it until you're 50. I know it's difficult, I've still got kids who are at home. I know how, really busy life can be, and trying to fit going to the gym into that. I think for me, what I found really important for me is getting into a routine. For me, it's going to the gym in the morning that works. If I leave it any later than that, I find it difficult. That said, when I when I used to work away sometimes, at the time I was a member of a national gym chain. So what I found was that if I was working away at a different airport, I could go to one of their gyms in the evening. And so if you were staying in an airport hotel, it was a lot less boring if you went to the gym on a night than if you just went back to your room and that was it. So fit it into your routine. I've also got to say is, if you can, and I know that not everybody can do this, is get a trainer. I've found being trained properly, and also basically being honest, having to report back into teacher every week. So if I say I've been, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times, I make sure that I'm been 3 times, because if I don't, it's a waste of my money and most time if I don't do what I've said that I'm going to do. So I think try and build it into your routine, and just do something. Even if you just start going once a week, doing something is better than nothing. And I had it yesterday. I was out of routine this week. Didn't really feel like going to the gym yesterday, but I just went in for half an hour and I did some stretches, I did some benching, and doing half an hour is better than doing no half an hour. So, but I think the main message I would say is start now. You don't want to wait until you're 50 and have to be helped into the gym toilets by a member of staff.
It's a very good point.
Yeah,
So
don't recommend it.
would you say accountability, like having somebody to make you accountable for?
For me, yes, definitely. Because I tried going to a gym, actually, we're talking about in the 40s. When I was about 40, I was a member of a gym because I used to take the kids for swimming lessons. I'd maybe go on the cross trainer, I'd have a swim, and then I'd have a pint and a burger in the restaurant afterwards. So I probably came out of the gym less healthy than when I went into it. So I think for me, routine and accountability, it makes a bit. And also, learning the right techniques. I've been fascinated, for me, is you see somebody doing something, think, well, that can't be that hard. And actually, once you've been trained, it's not hard, but I've enjoyed learning the correct techniques, because if you learn the correct technique, you're also not going to hurt yourself, which I think is important. You don't want to go in and pull a muscle on day one.
Of course, and I think most people would do that, so definitely finding somebody to make you accountable and finding a good coach at your start of your journey is a key, is a game changer for for you to stay motivated and want to do it. But if you start and get injured or feel like you don't know what you're doing, that is not the best start for you. Okay, so we might be going backward a little bit, but question: what was the motivation for you to get started in the gym?
To actually get started is we actually joined as a family. So the motivation actually was to be able to go down and play badminton with the kids or go swimming or whatever. So for me, I'll be totally honest, at the time, there wasn't actually any personal motivation to get fit. I mean, geez, I didn't even own a pair of trainers. Something like I had a t-shirt and shorts, but
I remember I recommended you.
I didn't even own any trainers. So, and I think I sort of booked the training session because I think my wife had known me say, look, I think she'd been for one and I hadn't yet, so it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'll do it on a Saturday afternoon. But it was literally the I suppose the time that the switch clicked for me and just when it was like that was that session when I just realised how unfit I was. That was I didn't need any more motivation than lying in bed thinking I'm dying. This is ridiculous. So yeah, that was the thing for me, realising if I don't do something now, I'm just going to get worse, not better.
So you didn't have any competition goal in mind or anything like that?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. Not at the start, no.
Yeah, that came a lot down the line, right?
Yes,
a few months later. And that's actually a good question at this time, which is what made you decide to compete?
I think it was setting a goal. So I'd started training in April last year. I think we got to January, and I remember saying to you, I think I've got a full year in front of me. I need some sort of aim or whatever. And obviously, with your background with powerlifting, and I remember you suggesting, and almost me thinking of it as a joke. Oh, well, why don't you train for a competition? Now, I was one of these people at school. I was always, primary school, secondary school, I was always the last person picked for a team. No, just...
You were not into sports at all?
I wasn't into sports, into football, into anything. I was, just...
Why is that? You just didn't enjoy it?
I just hated it. I was, just wasn't one of those sporty kids. So I used to, PE lessons were just, hated PE lessons. So the thought of actually ever competing would, never have entered my head. So I think it sort of started almost as a joke, and then as it got sort of closer, and I started being able to, lift more and more. And then I'd kind of hoped that you'd forgotten about it, but you didn't.
I realised that at some point.
And then it was a case of joining the British Powerlifting Federation, applying for the competition, training for it, and then actually physically going and doing it.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Like when you, as a kid, you hate all sports, you've never done anything, and then at the age of 52, you compete at the British Powerlifting, and soon we'll be doing a national level competition, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right.
Are we?
So yes, we are. So the point is, it's very possible. You don't have to be aiming for a competition or to be a champion, but it's very possible to start and to be fit at any age. You just need to decide and take action. So, how hard it was to get to this level of competition? Obviously starting from 0 to...
I think, it's hard, but you basically build progressively every week, and I think I'm lucky in that I've managed to get into my routine. It's a bit messed up at the moment because it's the school holidays, but on average, I have training session with you every Saturday, and I go to the gym during the week, call it 3 times a week, something like that. So, yeah, I've sort of, yeah, you sort of progressively build what you can lift over over a period of time, and and sometimes you come in and you set a personal best, and sometimes you come in and you think, I can't lift anything. It's you're not always going to come in and as you've taught me, you're not always going to come in and smash a PB every week. Sometimes you come in and you've had a bad night's sleep or whatever it is, and you have a bad session, but you just got to dust yourself down and come back the next day and try again. I think what I found was I was more terrified of doing the competition than when I actually got on stage and started doing it, because the people who were running the competition, I don't think I've ever met such a friendly, professional bunch of people actually on the day who were so supportive of the fact I was 20 years older than everybody else and lifting a lot less than everybody else, but you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's actually a good point now, because that question next, were you scared?
Yeah, I really was. So one of my friends drove me over in the afternoon. So he had the car key, so I couldn't escape. I ended up drawing the lot of. I was the first person out in the afternoon, which was just why me.
For some reason, he was always the first person in the flight.
Yeah, so you didn't even have anyone to to go first, and the pressure of thinking, right, I'm going out first, so you can't fail the first lift of the afternoon. You've got to pass it. Yeah, very, very nervous. But actually, once you start doing it and you just concentrate on the judges and what you're doing, I was absolutely fine, and I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it and how much of a buzz I got out of it.
Yeah, I remember you wanted to have another.
Yeah, I'd have gone straight to do another one. You got that much sort of adrenaline going. It was, it was absolutely fantastic afternoon. Well outside my comfort zone, but really glad I did it.
Excellent. So for people who are beginners to intermediate and thinking to compete, and again, not to really be a pro or anything, but just to kind of have a challenge, set a goal and things like that, what would you say to them? Go ahead or?
I would say go ahead. I think on 2 counts. I think one, 3. One, actually, it's when you do it, it's really good fun and it's a great bunch of people. I think it gives you an aim. So I think for me that was important. It gives you a target to work towards. And I think the other thing, the fact that you've got the judges there, it forces you. You can't be sloppy on your technique. You've got to, as I discovered when I failed a lift on not waiting for the correct command on racks. So you've passed the weight, but you've been sloppy and you haven't waited.
That is sorry, Dave, but that's actually the worst type of fail. Because he did the left, then you failed in the command. So that's how accurate it is.
Yeah. So I think it really sort of tests your technique that you are you're doing it to competition standard. But I would really recommend it.
It's the discipline as well. Like point you said about failing the left on the command. The whole point is teaching you discipline, because really, if you racked before the judge say rack, it's nothing wrong with the actual lift technical wise, but it's discipline. The whole point is the discipline of being disciplined with the whole lift. Okay, so and your feedback on that competition as a novice competition, general overall, what did you think?
I say I thought it was it was well organised, and I think I was just sort of really surprised. When you first got there were a lot of people who were a lot younger than me and a lot bigger than me. And you're sort of kind of nervous. I'll be honest as well, I'm not a huge fan of wearing a singlet. That's the first time I've worn lycra. But that's that if that's the gear
that's what it takes.
If that's what it takes. If you and actually, surprisingly, after a couple of hours, you kind of get used to it. This is normal now, wearing this
you
thing.
were comfortable there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is that what you don't see backstage is that they've got all weights set up so that you can train and you can stretch. backstage, so you're not sort of going out cold just to do your one lift. You've just literally been backstage practicing. Then you can go out, and they kept it moving. I mean, the team that were changing the plates, I mean, wow. I mean, they should be like a Formula One pit crew. I mean, they were just how you do it that quickly, and for that length of time with that length of weight. Don't know how they do it.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, and actually thanks for the West Yorkshire Powerlifting and the British Powerlifting for making this novice competition such a great experience for everybody. Although there's people lifting more than the others in weight and in terms of how long they've been lifting, but it's all novice. Everybody there was first time to lift, so it was a great experience for everybody. Right, so finally, if we say one word for people who've been thinking to do it for so long and they just not made it yet and they're waiting for the New Year resolution, what would you tell them?
Just start. Yeah, if that's the one word, just start. Just start doing it. And even if you start just once a week, or even if you just doing anything is better than nothing. Something, even if you start, go out for a walk around the block, work yourself up to it, get yourself, some little weights at home to start with, whatever you can do. But yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough for, I'm 52 years old and I am the fittest and strongest I have been in my life. And it's not just physical fitness, my mental health is a lot better. I've been out of work for a few months, which hasn't been great, but the discipline of keeping going to the gym and giving me something else to focus on has been, absolutely fantastic. And the discipline of going into the gym, and I've joked about this before, it's gone into my wider life now where, I'm a lot more disciplined at home and I don't, procrastinate as much as I used to do. And, if I see something needs washing up, I wash it up these days. Right? No, I'll just leave it. I am just a lot more disciplined and focused than I used to be.
Every area of your life as well.
Definitely.
So the last thing I'm going to say, if you are 50 years old and think it's too late, I'll tell you one thing. The best time to start was 30 years ago, but the second best time is today.
Yep.
Do it.